This is QTV News. I am Ansumana Esonyasi and thanks for joining us. First, the main local business and international news headlines. In local news, the National Agricultural Land and Water Management Development Project, Nema Chosso, announces the end of a very successful initiative. We find out more. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency's crackdown on drugs traffickers and users continues as 3 more suspects are apprehended. We hear of plans by the Ministry of Tourism through the GT Board to build an ecotourism lodge in the Basse Region. An Islamic scholar, Imam Ba Kawsu Fofana, says the Supreme Islamic Council misled ex-President Jammeh to hate Islamic scholars in the country. In business news, the first ever ICT EXPO to promote the Gambia's technology industry was held this week. In international news, the Chinese doctor who blew the whistle on the coronavirus has died of the disease. And now, the local news in detail. The National Agricultural Land and Water Management Development Project, Nema Chosso, in collaboration with the International Fund for Agricultural Development, on Wednesday held a visibility event to showcase their key achievements, innovations and lessons. I covered the event at the QCD Conference Center in Bijilo, and this is my report. This event marked the official end of the Nema project in the Gambia, a project described by stakeholders as one of the most successful agricultural projects ever implemented in the country, with the objective of reducing poverty in rural communities by increasing incomes from improved productivity based on sustainable land and water management practice. Officials say the project reflects government's and IFAD's resolve to continue investing in improving the lives of people in rural Gambia. Speaking to reporters, Hawa Sinta, IFAD's country director, says the Nema project has been a major success as it has positively impacted the lives of rural farmers. The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, Mamadou Bai Jabang, and Nema project director, Mamadou El Gassama, say the project has had a huge impact on the growth of the country's agricultural sector and highlighted some of the project's major achievements.
By making sure that activities ranging from production, harvesting, processing, marketing, transportation are all incorporated as a holistic approach to ensuring sustainable development.
We have also seen a lot of increased income from vegetable production. In fact, that is the biggest increase we have realized. We have seen communities which have, through their vegetable gardens constructed by Nema, in one season achieved, or earned up to $5 million. Last season, the lowest income that was generated through the gardens, all the Nema gardens, was $1 million.
Mamadou S. Sise is the chairman of the National Assembly Select Committee on Agricultural Development. He says that his committee recognizes the impact of the Nema project that has helped government address key rural and agricultural challenges. However, he called on the beneficiary communities to ensure the project's sustainability.
Projects are here for a time and they will be going, so the end product that they leave with them should be maintained. If they are not maintained, it means we are starting from scratch again all the time. This is why in a lot of times when projects come and they go, their efforts are not seen.
The beneficiaries say the project exposed them to new mechanized farming methods that have greatly impacted their productivity. They thanked officials for bringing the Nema Chosso project to their communities and promised to ensure its sustainability. Ansumana Esonyasi for QTV News. 3 suspects are in police custody for alleged possession of suspected drugs and aiding and abetting a suspect, as the Drug Law Enforcement Agency's crackdown on drug traffickers and users continues. Amadou Oba reports.
The 3 suspects, a Gambian, Lamin Toure, commonly known as Mosquito, a resident of Brikama Newtown, and a Nigerian couple, Jonathan Okoye and his wife Chioma Okoye, residents of Bundung, are all in police custody for drug offences. Osman Sediba, the enforcement agency's public relations officer, explains that Mosquito was arrested in Sukuta but had been arrested on 2 previous occasions for drug offences. On this occasion, that he was nabbed with 45 bundles of cannabis weighing 37 kilograms and 5 stones of hashish weighing about 38 grams.
He was acquitted and discharged. However, we are even appealing that acquittal at the High Court, and as that was ongoing, we still had him under our radar, and this paid dividend when he was arrested in Sukuta with these 37 kilograms of suspected cannabis sativa. He is in custody, and we're gathering all necessarily evidence that can be used to prosecute him and ensure that he is away from our society so that the society will remain safe.
Jonathan Okoye, who also had a similar case in 2010 and 3 cases involving cocaine and heroin in 2017, was caught in possession with 160 grams of cocaine. His wife, Chioma Okoye, was arrested for conspiracy as well as aiding and abetting a suspect, according to the PRO. He adds that the suspects are notorious and officers have been trailing them for a very long time.
Jonathan also is someone who on numerous occasions will be arrested, taken to court, and at the end of the day, back to the society. But as we said, we didn't relent. We commend the officers for that. They were never frustrated, neither were they tired or falter. They ensured that they continue observing these people, because when you talk about drugs, it's not something that is easy. But at the end of the day, the commitment and the resilience and dedication to duty always pay a dividend.
Mr. Sediba advised landlords to be vigilant and avoid hosting suspicious people, and assured Gambians that the drug law enforcement officers will continue to fight drug trafficking. He called on people to cooperate with officers, citing a recent incident in which drug law officers were attacked.
So recently, we even have a situation in the provincial Gambia where one of our officers, we shared the pictures with you, was seriously injured, was assaulted. But then again, this is the challenge. That's why we always try to put it to the public, for them to look at this situation and then realize who is the enemy. Are those who are coming to our society to get rid of this menace the enemy? And most importantly, let people understand that we do not make the laws. We are there to enforce a law.
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency has a mission to enforce all drug laws and regulations of the Gambia and bring perpetrators to justice. It also initiates and supports programs aimed at reducing the availability of illicit and controlled drugs in the domestic and international markets. These arrests are another achievement for the agency's relentless efforts to minimize or rid our society of drug abuse and those involved in the trade. For QTV News, I am Amadou Obah.
The Ministry of Tourism, through the GT Board, plans to build an ecotourism lodge in the Basse Region. On a tour of tourism facilities, tourism officials visited the proposed site on Thursday in Sotuma Samba. Alusise reports.
The visit to the proposed site by the Tourism Minister Imam Ba and his entourage is to gather first-hand information about the place for the possibility of building an eco-lodge in the area, which is situated beside the River Gambia. Alajile, the Senior Manager for Products Development, Investment and Culture, said part of the key thematic areas for the tourism in the Gambia's National Development Plan is to improve ecotourism.
One of the strategies that the Gambia Tourism Board intends to do is to improve the accommodation facilities upcountry through ecotourism. So this is why we engage the community in all the regions of the country, and this is one of them, which is the URR, whereby we consulted with the local stakeholders, local authorities, and to able to help us to identify key areas within their domain or their region where ecotourism will be very suitable. So this is one of the areas that has been identified by the local authorities together with the Gambia Tourism Board and Ministry of Tourism and Culture, identified for the development of ecotourism facilities within this region. So actually, this is why we are here today with the Minister and entourage to come and see for themselves the area, to be able to assess the feasibility of doing that facility here.
Lay said he was impressed with the area as it has the qualities they are looking for.
This is something that locals here will be looking forward to having around this area. How soon do you think work on this project will commence here?
Actually, we are looking forward to implementing this project within this 2020, like going into 2021 hopefully, because the designs and everything has been done. So we are just working on some few administrative works in order to be able to kickstart the project.
During the President's December 2019 nationwide tour, the Tourism and Culture Minister Hamad Nkeba announced government's plans to build a hotel in the Upper River region. If this visit is anything to go by, Minister Ba's pronouncement is about to be translated into action. In a similar engagement, the delegation visited several lodges, including Bintu's Paradise Hotel and Magis Lodge, both in Bansang, where the minister expressed his pleasure at seeing such investments by Gambians.
All hotels and facilities must make sure bathroom is key. And the bedding, this point we should completely outdate. No more. Let people use mattresses. And they cannot do it overnight, but they phase it out, have a period, give them a target period that they can phase it out. At least if you buy 2, 3 a month, within a year you would have completed.
Reporting for QTV News from Basse in the Upper River region, I am Aliou Cisse.
A trained tour guide in Janjambure has expressed concern over what he calls a distortion of facts about the island settlement, as narrated by visiting tour guides. As Aliou Cisse reports, Jammeh wants the urgent intervention of the Gambia Tourism Board.
Situated in the central river region of the Gambia, Janjambure, an island settlement, attracts both Gambians and foreign visitors. It is well known for hosting several heritage sites associated with the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. During a visit to several tourist attraction sites in Janjambure by the tourism minister and delegation, Jammeh, a local trained tour guide, appeals for the GT board to help put an end to visiting tour guides distorting facts about the settlement.
We want for Gambia Tourism Board to help us facilitate in between us and the ground tour operators to hand over tours to us, because the other feedback we have been getting is tourists will tell us that Janjambure don't have any interest. And anytime we lead tours, you will come to realize that tourists are always happy. But if these ground tour operators come or the tour guides come into this community, the history that they gave, they don't know nothing about the island.
Jammeh, who is also the chairman of the body which stages the annual Janjambure Kankurang Festival, informed the delegations that some of the heritage sites, including the so-called slave house, have both oral and written history. However, the oral history, he said, is what is confusing people about the actual truth. In response, Abdullah Hydra, Director General of the Gambia Tourism Board, said he was not aware of Jammeh's claim.
We have never been aware that when the tour guides come here, they don't hand tours to the officially trained official guides in Janjambure. But now that we have the know, inshallah we'll address the issue. And I think I want to corroborate with his point. When we are in Wasu, that's what I wanted to put across. In Wasu, the guides there are distorting the history and the authenticity of the soul circles, and we will have to put a stop to it. I am very pleased to hear from him that equally here in Janjambure, when the tours come, they don't hand the tours to those who are trained and understand the historic background and the product knowledge, but they conduct tours and distort the information and the authenticity of the Kankurang Museum. That is going to stop forthwith, and inshallah we'll work with all the tour operators that once they enter Janjambure, all the tour guides that accompany tourists to this historic site will hand over the tours to them, and they will conduct the tours appropriately as per the correct and authentic information that the reason behind building these facilities.
As part of the tour, the delegation visited among several places what is believed to be one of the oldest Methodist churches in Black Africa, built in 1945. The Wooden House, the Kankurang Center, and the Liberating Triangle, known as the Freedom Tree Monument, where the first consignment of free slaves, known as the Akus, were camped in 1942, while the British and local authorities negotiated where to settle them.
And then also we have the mercantile interests here. All the European companies, Vessia, Morel et Prom, Palmin, Morel et Fraisse, all of them, they had stations here in Makati, because here was the center of the Garnot Street. So all of them had their stations here, and there was a year, 22,000 tons of groundnuts were moved, from Georgetown here, to Batos for export.
Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
An Islamic scholar, Imam Ba Kawsu Fofana, on Thursday told the Truth Commission that the Supreme Islamic Council misled ex-President Jammeh to hate Islamic scholars in the country. Imam Fofana was testifying on his arrest, detention and torture by the NIA. The story by Babukar C is narrated by Bintu Koka.
Ba Kawsu Fofana said members of the Supreme Islamic Council, including Imam Abdullah Fati, reported him to ex-President Jammeh, saying he used to castigate people during summons. He also said Jammeh was informed that he has insulted the president's tribe and that he always refused to observe Ramadan and eat prayers with other Muslims. Ba Kawsu said he was arrested by the NIA just a day after Imam Fati delivered a summons about him in May 2012. He said the arresting officers were headed by the ex-Director General of NIA, Yankuba Baji. Imam Fofana claimed he was tortured for 9 days while in custody.
Usman Sonko said my finger was broken by Yaya Jammeh himself.
How did that happen? When
I was being beaten.
Did Yaya Jammeh personally participate in your torture?
He was the chairman and the boss of those who were beating me.
And because you're suggesting that because he was the superior or the commander of those who broke your hand, therefore he is responsible for breaking your hand.
Imam Ba Kawsu said the former Minister of Interior Usman Sonko told him that the former President Yaya Jammeh also participated in his torture and that his finger was allegedly broken by Yaya Jammeh. The Imam said in August 2012, a group led by Yankuba Baji went to his house to arrest him. During that process, Ba Kawsu said he evaded his captors and disappeared.
When that happened, Yankuba, the people who were there to pray, everybody, they all calmed down. Well, it might go up to 10 minutes or even more than that. That's the time when Yankuba said, well, we have time, we have to walk by time.
Ba Kawsu said he returned to the Gambia in 2015 when Yaya Jammeh granted amnesty to all those living in exile. At the end of his testimony, he preached for Gambians to forgive one another, saying Gambians are known for living peacefully and that this should be maintained and cherished. Bintu Koka, QTV News.
And from that report, we take a short commercial break. But when we return, in business news, we hear the first ever ICT Expo to promote the Gambia's technology industry. In international news, Cameroon's main opposition leader calls for the country to become a federation. Join us after the break for these stories and more, as well as sports news.
Oh yes! QCell has exhausted the number 3 series, the 50, 51, 52 and 53 number series. We are expanding and introducing another new number series, starting with 58 and 59. With the 58 and 59 numbers, you can call any QCell number for the same on-net charges. You get the same great service at the exact same charges offered to numbers in the 3, 50, 51, 52 and 53 series. The family is even bigger now. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, we innovate, others follow.
Welcome back. In business news, the first ever ICT Expo to promote the Gambia's technology industry was organized on Thursday by the Information Technology Association of the Gambia in partnership with the Youth Empowerment Project. Moudu Gajaga was there and he now reports.
The theme of the first ever ICT Expo event is Leveraging Technology for Economic Growth. It's an exhibition of what Gambia has to offer in the technological industry, showcased by young entrepreneurs. Mobile money, software development and database management are among some of the digital technologies on display.
Gambia is a relatively peaceful country with close proximity to both Europe and the United States. making it an ideal hub for software development outsourcing. Additionally, with the West African Free Trade Agreement, Gambia has a new opportunity as a West African hub for large multinational tech firms. There is also great opportunity in fintech and the development of applications for users around the world, from right here in the Gambia.
The Youth Empowerment Project supports small-scale businesses and startups in the Gambia. Martin Labe, a technology sector development coordinator, says the expo is a great initiative.
So we are very privileged at YEP to work with these innovators and these SMEs that are in the tech business, working through their association, because if the industry is fragmented, it cannot make its voice heard when in the dialogue with business. I recently had the case of a company in Ivory Coast that I'm working with, and a new regulation totally stopped their business. They were operating online, they had clients, the numbers were going up, but then all of a sudden a government agency decided that they could not operate anymore through this channel.
Gambia is using just a fraction of what is available technologically, and most financial transactions are still done using cash, with little online payment systems. Even where they are available, accessing the service is challenging, especially in rural areas. QCell's QMoney mobile service is trying to breach that gap.
Reaching those people that are excluded becomes mobile technology, and mobile money leverages on that. It uses the mobile networks. We have a separate platform that uses the mobile networks that brings access to financial services through the mobile phone in a very simple and very cost-effective way. Any simple phone, any phone can use it. You don't need data, you don't need credit to do financial transactions, to receive cash, to receive transfers from somebody or anywhere around the country, to buy your airtime, to buy your Q-Power, or to make your purchases.
One of the Gambia's youngest software engineers, Hassan Jallo, is making the most of his Ashutech software company, which specializes in developing tailor-made cross-platform software solutions for multi-level organizations. He has now graduated to utilizing artificial intelligence and virtual reality.
What you've seen, it's a project that we've worked on for the Youth Empowerment Project under the tourism sector. We took a virtual tour and virtual reality experiences of some touristic sites in rural Gambia. The Stone Circles is one of them, etc. And one of their new innovative touristic products. So we created a VR experience of this. So if you put on the VR headset, it will be as if you are in the Stone Circles. You can visit there yourself, you can move around, you can interact with the stone man, you can hear the birds singing. Just to give people around the world a glimpse of what they would experience when they see Gambia as a destination. Because we know tourism is an integral part of our economy. So we looked at ways that we can support this initiative using technology.
At the event, different services offered by established technology companies and startups were also showcased. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
In other business news, Credit Suisse boss quits after spying scandal. Tijan Cham, who once served in Ivory Coast cabinet, had been at the helm of the Swiss investment bank and financial services company since 2015. Cham, whose parents are Senegalese and Ivorian, was very much a star on the global financial stage. Cham tendered his resignation following a spying scandal which has rocked the financial world. It emerged that the Swiss banking giant has ordered surveillance of two of its former employees. One of those under surveillance, Iqbal Khan, had left to join rival UBS. It has emerged there were fears he might recruit some Credit Suisse colleagues to defect and join him. In his resignation letter, Cham said that as CEO, he accepts responsibility even though he was not aware the spying had gone on. Many of the company's shareholders wanted him to stay on. In international news, Cameroon's main opposition leader, Maurice Kamto, has upped the stakes in his country's ongoing crisis. The politician says splitting the country into a federation is the only way to solve the ever-deepening crisis. Mr. Kamto made these comments while visiting Europe days after being released after spending 9 months in prison. Mr. Campo and over 100 of his party members had been detained on charges of insurrection and rebellion. He and his party had disputed the last election results, which prolonged President Biya's 37-year tenure. Maurice Kamto says he plans to boycott the upcoming election and made his federation comments based on his concerns over a deteriorating situation in Cameroon's Anglophone region. Also in international news, Li Wenliang, the doctor who was initially accused of spreading rumors about the coronavirus when the outbreak began, has died in a Wuhan hospital. Li Wenliang was among the first to identify the disease that has now killed over 500 people. The doctor was among 8 medical professionals initially arrested, accused of spreading illegal and false information. The virus has infected more than 28,200 people globally, with over 600 dead in China. The BBC reports that there has been both sadness and anger after Dr. Li's death. The virus causes severe acute respiratory infection, and symptoms usually start with a fever followed by a dry cough. Most of those killed have been over the age of 60 or have suffered from other medical conditions. China's health authorities say, while Dr. Li's medical history is not known, it is also reported that Dr. Li's wife is due to give birth in June. Now, before we take a leave of you, here's a recap of our main headlines. In local news, the National Agricultural Land and Water Management Development Project, Nema Chosso, announced the end of a very successful initiative. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency's crackdown on drug traffickers and users continues as 3 more suspects were apprehended. We heard of plans by the Ministry of Tourism through the GT Board to build an ecotourism lodge in the Basse Region. An Islamic scholar, Imam Ba Kawsu Fofana, says the Supreme Islamic Council misled ex-President Jammeh to hate Islamic scholars in the country. In business news, the first ever ICT EXPO to promote the Gambia's technology industry was held this week. In international news, the Chinese doctor who blew the whistle on coronavirus has died of the disease. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of the news. On behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow for more news.